What's up YouTube, Jason here with Jason Bytes Back, episode numero cincuenta cuatro. For you Spanish impaired, that is 54 in English. As always, this series is brought to you by my awesome Patreon subscribers, the $5 and $10 of which are listed at the end of this video. Seriously guys, if you forgot to cancel that, you should probably do that now. But if you're still there, your names will be at the end of this video. So thank you very much for supporting my channel. If you guys are unfamiliar with Jason Bytes Back, this is a series of which I go through the last month and I either respond to or answer questions and comments over the last 30 days. And I do my best not to make a complete fool of myself. But in today's episode, I want to switch things up just a little bit to play homage to somebody on YouTube who recently made a very well-received video. I can't even remember his name right now. It's not somebody I watched all the time, but he had millions of subscribers, has millions of subscribers, and he made a video basically talking about mean comments and the toxic atmosphere of YouTube. And I think he said he's quitting. I don't know if that's going to be a permanent quit or just a break, but it was a very well-received video for me and a lot of other people. So I thought to myself, hey, maybe I should acknowledge some of the negative comments I've gotten over the last 30 days. Not make the whole episode about that, of course, but at least acknowledge some of them and kind of explain my viewpoint on how I handle, the toxic atmosphere that YouTube can sometimes be. So to really start off, if you don't know me, I really kind of just YOLO a lot of stuff. I kind of enjoy not doing research before I get into things. There are some things that freak me out and I want to make sure that I'm going to do it the right way. For example, I got a bunch of solar stuff sitting over here that kind of scares the crap out of me. So I haven't even hooked anything up because I want to make sure that I don't kill myself or set my house on fire or any number of other things that could go wrong with doing that wrong. But in general, my self-esteem is already pretty low, my self-worth and all that. I already think pretty low of myself, so I have thick skin. I do see these, and there are a couple times a negative comment can, maybe get a little too close to home and make me feel self-conscious about something. But as the whole, I pretty much brush a lot of things off. And when it comes to reading comments, usually when you get flooded by thousands of comments, it's kind of hard to keep up with them. I do make it a point every month to go through the last month's worth of comments to try to find comments, so I end up reading those comments towards the end of the month. But trying to keep up with them every single day is really just not healthy, especially if you're used to brushing stuff off. If you're brushing stuff off every single day, that's something that could really kind of get to you after a while. Yes, that's the cat hissing because the dog is torturing her. That's their thing. So my viewpoint is thick skin, low self-worth. It doesn't really bother me that much. Most of it's like, yeah, you know what? That's true. Can't argue with it. I could try to self-better myself, but really I have my own limitations. Maybe I can't be better. Doesn't really matter. So jumping into some of those negative comments over the last 30 days, hopefully you guys enjoy these. I will start off with Bulldog's House. He says, my brother and I just have one good question for you. Do you have a day job? Whatever it is, don't quit it. That's fair. Yes, I do have a day job. I do not plan on quitting my day job because I like the security of having a 9-to-5 job, even though I try to work as little as possible. That way I do have the extra time to make YouTube videos and try to be more productive at home. But if I did not have a 9-to-5 job, I would probably very rarely leave the house and I would become a hermit. And that would be unhealthy mentally. So not only do I doubt my potential success in YouTube, but I also just like to have a reason to leave the house. And I work with my cousin and I enjoy working there. So when it comes to insults though, I'll give that like a mediocre rating. Next question is from Corey. He says, your channel is like the weird girl in high school and you don't know why, you keep looking at her. Haha. Now, I wasn't entirely sure if this was like an insult, but I thought it was funny. Because it's like a train wreck. Like you drive by it and you're like, oh God, that's so terrible. What's going on? You see bodies? So I can totally relate to that comment and it's somewhat amusing, whether it was meant to be mean or if it was just meant to be entertaining. I like it. Next comment is from Custom Computing. He says, all of these videos are turning into you making out with your dog. Dislike. Well, Custom Computing, that is completely false. I have never made out with my dog. And every video is not me making out with my dog.
You're such a good girl. Oh, should we make up? Come on. Ah, yeah. Oh, you're such a good girl. You're such a good girl. Yes, you are.
Was that enough? Are we good? You got hair all over me. Yeah. You want to go towards the cat, don't you?
Yes, you do.
Next question is from Autolance Giga. I don't know why you YouTube content creators have to act like poor Hollywood actors, tearing the boxes and blabber. Can't they stick to the technical details? Well, Autolance Gaga, if I could even be a bad Hollywood actor, wouldn't that mean I would at least be, rich still? I understand where this insult was trying to come from, but to rebuttal to it, like literally, I just look at this and it's hard to even take this serious. To rebuttal to that, if you had somebody that only stuck to technical details, they might not be as exciting. Yes, you can be more successful. Yes, you might have a crowd of certain people. I mean, look at Steve from Gamers Nexus, right? Some of his content can just drown on, and he just goes through every single technical, whatever he's doing. And it can be kind of hard to watch unless you are super interested in that kind of technical thing. But just like Steve has been doing, he has to add a little bit of flavor. He has to add a little bit of flair, give you something to relate to, make it somewhat entertaining. Like if I wanted to read a user manual out loud in a monotone voice, sure, it would be more technical, but I mean, even less people to watch me. So, I get where you were trying to come from, but people need flavor. I mean, I don't know what to say. Next comment is from Velocity Blasters. This video is full of sheet. I have no sheets in any of my videos. So I don't know what I don't know why you said sheet. Like a fitted sheet? Or like a top sheet? A sheet of paper? Next comment is from Alex Serban, which, hey, you know what, Alex? If you're watching this, I do want to give you some props. Over the last month, you've commented on every single video telling me how much you hate it, which is curious because I don't understand why you could hate everything I do and comment on everything that I do, saying how much you hate it and judging it, but still be here. Like, seriously. Does someone have a gun to your head, like threatening you to watch my TV show or my YouTube channel? No. It's kind of weird. Anyways, he said, get rid of the solar content, explanation. Want to see more rack server stuff. 10 times better content. He said this multiple times. He's like, do server stuff, do this. Like everyone wants you to cover the thing they're interested in and nothing else. And this is another one of those things like, hey, I know where you're coming from. Like I do make server content. I sometimes maybe draw people in with some server content, but I also do a lot of other things. Batteries, solar, robot vacuums. Like I just do things that I find interesting. And that's the benefit of having a YouTube channel. I get to basically keep myself interested in making content because I get to tinker and play with things that I probably wouldn't have had the chance to tinker and play with if I didn't have a YouTube channel. So yeah, my YouTube channel is dynamic and it's always going to change and evolve and there's going to be new, there's going to be bad, there's going to be, great. It's going to be all over the board, but that's what keeps it interesting. So Alex, realistically, sorry you hate everything I do. You should probably unsubscribe. That's all I got. Next comment is from Provoking Escape Productions. I like this one. He said, another dumpster fire of a video. Either do more with YouTube or stop with the garbage. Yes, I am a dick for saying this, but I actually really like your old stuff, but just keeps going downhill. Seeing the number of subs growth has slowed so much in the last year. Probably a lot jumped ship during your drunken New Year's Eve live stream. If you would have kept it up, you could have easily hit 200,000 this year. There's a lot of valid points here. And I think I want to refer back to that video that I referenced at the beginning of this video, where it's like, people, YouTube content creators, they kind of get to that point where just like, okay, you know what? No matter what I do, it's going to suck. So, how much effort I put into it, I could pour my heart and soul into this and everyone's going to hate it and it's only going to get 2,000 views. Or I can half-ass this video and it's going to get like 40,000 views. So like, it's just a crap shot as to whether or not something is going to take on YouTube and people are going to enjoy it. It's all about finding the algorithm and trying to appease the masses, and then just saying, no, I don't care. I want to do what I want to do. And then just living with the consequences. Like, yeah, I've had 115,000 subscribers. I went from 100,000 to 115,000 in what? It's been a year now. Growth has definitely slowed. My life has definitely got complicated. As I mentioned before, I am definitely going through a few things in my life. Not that that's an excuse, but there are a lot more stress points going on. And the New Year's Eve live stream I do because I don't want to go out. I don't want to drive and go have beers anywhere and then, be tempted to drive home and then end up getting an Uber and then having to go get my car. Like, I really just don't like going out for New Year's. That's why I hang out here and drink on stream and make a fool of myself. And I can only handle that once a year because I get so drunk that I am miserable for 2 or 3 days afterwards. And I'm completely aware that there's probably a lot of people that look down on that and probably lose subscribers because of it. So hey, very valid point, Provoking Escape Productions. I did look into your profile to see what kind of great content you produce and, the consistency you do with it, but I didn't see anything from you. So maybe you can link, in the comments down below to show me, the quality content that you've been producing for a long time and how you've been able to keep up, that kind of content to a mass audience. Next question, comment is this Alex guy again. Dude, shame on you. Your house looks like a mess. Get your shit together, man. You are a grown man. My kind of rooms look better than that mess you have in your house. This is really rally poor from you. Get your shit together and do videos like you used to. You act like some kind of crazy person. The channel is going south AF. Again, wow. Why do you watch me, man? If you... I don't get that. That's actually just, it's sad at this point. Next one is actually going to be questions. James, he asked, Jason, can you do a short video on your setup of Blue Iris using that SSD drive for temp storage of clips? James, that's not a bad idea. Since I've been doing a switch from my Mighty Mouse Angry Inch, whatever you want to call it, build, that Ryzen with a P2000 miniature build that I had, over to a full-size racked server running a 7940X, 128 gigs of RAM, and multiple terabytes of SSDs, etc., I have been dealing with the long-term storage, unnecessary long-term storage of Blue Iris clips. Now, basically, I've been using a combination of my Synology NAS and my main Unraid build that has the most storage on it, like 300 terabytes. So I've been using a combination of those to kind of shuffle around some of those older video clips. I have no idea why. I have like 3 years of clips, but it turns out that after you get to something like 100,000 files, it becomes more and more difficult to, access those directories. So you have to break those up into, lesser amount of files. So I've been in this process of configuring Blue Iris to go from aux1, aux2, aux3, aux4, from the SSDs to a different SSD, and then just casually moving those slowly. That way they can spread them out. Really, I'm gonna hit a point where I just have nowhere else to store it, but I've been dealing with this as a problem, just not because of the SSDs or anything like that, but just because of the quantity of files, which I've been looking for a solution for maybe, files that are, I don't know, over 90 days old or something like that, for an automatic option for Blue Iris to go through and combine those into one single file. That way, if I did want to reference them, I could scrub through them if they're super old, and they would be a lot less cluttered, just because I want to have, hundreds of thousands of little files, and I could just combine maybe a full day for each camera, and it would just be way less files. So once I get that figured out, that might be a really good video to say, hey, this is a problem I ran into. For some reason, I want long-term storage, and this is what I did in order to solve that problem. So good idea. Next question is from the Negotiator. This is literally more beast than my gaming rig. Okay, that's the Angry Inch build. That's what I just replaced with the new one. And my plan is, I think I spent $1,900 on that, not including the P2000. So $1,900 plus $400 for the P2000 at the time. We're looking at about $2,300 setup on that little micro build. No hard drives also, that was just the hardware. Because of the way this thing is designed, I need to retake it apart and I want to swap out fans and I want to like do just something different. I want to see if I can get the cooling under control and I want to make sure that I can get it running stable again because it has not been cleaned. It's been having issues literally because it's dirt and dogs and cats everywhere. So I need to take that apart, rebuild it, clean it, reevaluate some of the decisions I made when I built it, including a heat sink that goes from the back of the motherboard, because that's where the SSD is, to the actual case itself. I should have put some sort of a thermal pad there. That way the SSD can get some cooling, because holy crap, it has no cooling whatsoever. That was a thing I messed up. So I need to rebuild that and reevaluate that and then see how that performs. And then I'm either going to A, turn that into like a streaming PC for the New Year's live stream, or B, I might literally just sell that thing, try to get a couple grand out of it. So, I'm again going through stuff in my life where maybe selling that would be better off than keeping it for once a year. So I'm not sure yet, but it's old. I'll figure it out. Next question is from Andrew. He says, man, you cracked me up on how you seriously overkill on the hardware needed for a specific service, but then do it in the most hacky way possible. The most unnecessarily powerful Blue Iris server built in the most sus way possible. Welcome to my channel. Now, I'm not saying a 7940X with the RAM and all the crap that I put into that Blue Iris server makes any sense at all. I literally just used what I had, because blowing money on new build, new hardware, and all that other stuff is really just not in the cards for me right now. But I really did want to rebuild my Blue Iris server, and I had the stuff to do it. I had to make some, modifications like lapping the CPU and stuff like that, but I wanted to rebuild it with the hardware that I had already without having to go out and purchase stuff. So yeah, little overkill, especially the RAM. Don't need that much RAM, but I agree on everything, every aspect. It's a little janky how I did it, but YOLO. Next question is from Pilot Real Dude. Turn those Synologies on their sides. Oh! There were actually a few very similar comments to this when I made that video, talking about trying to get the Synologies in there in a certain way and whatever. The thing is I did think about turning them on their side, but I didn't want to do that because you turn them on their side, they no longer have the rubber feet, which means the vibrations from all of the hard drives can easily resonate down into the UPSs underneath it, because it's literally just sitting on bare metal. So it'd be bare metal to bare metal. And in my opinion, even though there are probably some, vibration dampening things built into the Synology NASs themselves, in my opinion, I feel like before I do that, I need to get some sort of a rubber gap between the Synology servers and what they're sitting on before I turn them on their side. Now they make those little rubber feet thing you could just literally stick on the bottom, and I think I have some somewhere doing absolutely nothing, and that is a best option. But when I went to go turn them on their side, I just kind of stopped and I was like, well, they're not really designed to sit like this, so maybe that's a bad idea without adding some sort of a dampening, thing between the metal. It is a good idea, and I did think of it. I just haven't done it yet because I don't want to mess something up with a stupid mistake type of deal. Next question is from Jonathan Scruggs. He says, man, what is your power bill with all of those servers? So my latest power bill that I paid was, it's either $460 or $480, something like that. I mean, usually they're between $400 and $500. It's painful. And just like I mentioned in the solar unboxing stuff, like that inverter and everything, you can't see, I don't even know why I'm pointing over there, but just like I mentioned in that, I did purchase some equipment to monitor my energy usage. And I've been using that equipment to, kind of gauge what uses the most in my house. As you would imagine, my server room and server rack, computer, stuff like that uses the most. It's 30% of my energy use is that. The other 30%, when it's hot out, is my air conditioner. The rest is just my house with the lights and stuff. And that has kind of been the reason why I want to potentially offload some of that cost, even though it will take some upfront cost to get it up and running. But I want to offload some of that cost in a solar system that would not be powerful enough to run the house, but be powerful enough to hopefully run the server rack. And the server rack has the batteries and the cables run to my main computers in my office. Like the server rack runs a lot of things computer-wise. So if I can offload some of that power with solar, I could probably cut down my electricity bill by 20% if I do it right. Maybe even more if I, go a little bit more full send. Can you guys just hug it out? Like, you're just... But yes, my electricity is expensive. I use way too much, and it's all computers. Next question. Killer Hertz. Why the batteries though? You live in America. How bad could your power really be? Very valid point. First world country. Shouldn't have that many power problems. However, I live in Kansas, and depending on where you live in Kansas, probably everywhere, but depending on where you live in Kansas, you have different levels of reliability when it comes to your power grid. For me, an example, where I live, I have power outages that are just flickers. Like literally it could be like anywhere between a half a second to maybe 5 or 10 seconds. And that's because here in Kansas, we have a lot of wind. I mean, over the last couple days, not including today because today's Saturday, but the Thursday and Friday before that, we were having 30 to 50 mile an hour wind with gusts up to like 60 or some shit. I mean, it gets out of control. And when you have that kind of wind blowing around, power lines tend to snap. My cousin, who lives on the opposite side of the city, lives out in the country, had a telephone pole literally snap and fall into the dirt road that he lives off of, and he was out of power for an entire day. This is just the environment that we live in. High winds just tends to make power flicker. So if a good storm comes rolling around, heavy winds, rain, like whatever, like the power can flicker sometimes 5 to 6 times a night just from a solid, nice rainstorm. So yes, it is an issue. I definitely do not want to rely on just the wall power to power my computers. If something's going to be flickering on and off all the time, that's how you kill your stuff. Like that's literally how you lose server hardware and everything. Like it's just not good. So batteries for me are of high importance, and it is definitely nothing I'm going to be giving up anytime soon. And the last question is from Ray's Lewis. You don't need to do this? ? Save your money for your divorce. Your divorce. Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys don't know, yeah, I am going through a divorce. That's part of my stress points and something I've been dealing with, and what can I say? I mean, you don't want to get into trouble. I don't know. Anyways, I went into this whole thing just trying to be as civil as possible, not be irrational, not try to get anything I don't felt unwelcome to or whatever. But yeah, you know what? It's gotten dirty. She's been pretty aggressive. Go figure, right? It's made a lot of aggressive moves. So yeah, I think things are going to be turning around just because she's already set that bar. So, if you want to fight, you get a fight type of deal. But hey, to have a fight, you have to spend money, which is, going back into the trying to limit my expenditures. It is what it is. So that is it for today, guys. As I said before, all of the Patreon subscribers, $5 and $10 plus, will be listed at the end of this video. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, post those in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and have yourself a great day. Oh, yeah. Okay. Ooh. All right. So check this out. I know everyone hates the solar crap, but I got this. This is a smart solar charger controller in PPT 100-130. This is going to be using, or what I need to use the solar panels to charge the batteries. I just got this in today. Also, when I posted that unboxing thing with all of this, some people made some really, really valid points about my complete underestimation of the gauge of wire that I need. So whether it's tomorrow or whatever, whenever I get some time, I'm gonna go to Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever, and I'm gonna get probably 3 gauge wire, 2 or 3, 4, whatever. And I'm going to make sure that I have thick enough wire, that way I do not, start a fire, burn a wire, whatever. because I originally ordered just kind of like a plethora of different cables, and I got 10, 8, and 6, thinking that would have been enough. But, you know, my electrical knowledge is not high. So yeah, I did really underestimate, you know, the thickness of wires that I would need. And the more and more videos that I watch, the more and more research I do, and the comments that I've been reading from you guys, which has been super awesome, it's helped me out a lot, has made me realize a few things. Like, I do need a lot thicker cable, and someone was really doing the math on something, and he pointed out this 30 amp. Is this a 30? Yeah, this 30 amp fuse is not going to be doing anything for me whatsoever, because it could, you know, probably pull 250 amps, peaking over 300. So I do definitely need a fuse. I do definitely need to make sure that I have some protection in there, you know, for the battery hookups, but I don't have it there. So when I'm at Lowe's, I'm going to see if I can find something that's a little bit better suited for my needs. I'm sure I can. I'm gonna find the wires that I need, hopefully, and I'm just gonna peruse through that and try to find what I can get for as cheap as possible, because you can buy it by the foot at Lowe's. I can get, like, you know, 3-gauge wire for like $227 a foot, and you just the minimum of 6 feet. So I'm gonna buy like the minimum of that, and that should be fine, assuming I get everything close enough to it. So yeah, you know, I got a box of stuff, and it turns out most of the stuff isn't really that usable. Well, at least for hooking up the batteries. And someone mentioned that the batteries that I got is not good for expansion, saying that I can't really use these to expand, because I only purchased 2 of these, which they're 100 amp hour. And since these are 12 and I'm running a 24 volt system, that means I literally only have 100 amp hour. That's not 200 amp hour or anything like that. So if it's running full bore, it's like 5-10 minutes. If I'm only running 1200 watts, you know, maybe I can get 40-45 minutes out of it. And I do want to expand that, but for some reason this isn't, you know, good for expanding. I don't understand that. So I'd love to hear in the comments down below what you guys think about that. That was a comment that stood out to me, and I just want to make sure that before I really invest, you know, heavily into batteries, I want to make sure that I'm not setting myself up for failure and ultimately costing myself a bunch of money getting into something that is not going to work for me. A lot of people recommend Battleborn batteries, but those things are literally $1,000 a pop. That's just unattainable for me. These are $400 a pop. If they don't work, then yeah, I guess that makes sense why they're $400 a pop. But Battleborn batteries are crazy expensive, and, you know, not today, right? So hey, let me know what you guys think about this. If you have systems that you've expanded with batteries similar to this or whatever, let me know what you've used in the past. Realistically, since that comment, I've been just kind of going through and watching a lot of battery reviews. So I think I have some other brands to consider. Yeah, because if I could offload a night's worth of power usage, I feel like this can take a lot of batteries. And that also brings in the next question. You know, where do I set this up? do I put it in my basement? Like, is that dangerous? Is that how you like get a house fire? I see so many people doing like sheds, like they have a shed, a power shed. They're like, it's way far away from our house. So when that fire comes in, it's just a shed and it's not me. So yeah, way over my head. That's why I'm scared. And that's why all this stuff hasn't even been touched yet. Aside from fondling it. Just, you know, just rubbing it down.